over the last couple of days when I've been attending these talks, I've come to an awareness that when I engage with people, I don't have a sincere desire to love them. I feel like most of my engagements, I'm trying to get something from somebody, or it feels a little bit codependent. And so last night I was trying to feel what principles might be engaging in that, and I feel like it could be something to do with not feeling like I've got anything to give. So
yeah, you could say, couldn't you, that so
it's really about a love principle, isn't it?
Well, there's a number of principles involved, isn't there? But let's look firstly. So I'll just write Laura, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Laura. So this is Laura. So notice I haven't drawn her as a logo, just because it takes too much space now. So and I need more space. Yep. So Laura, you're basically saying that one of the emotions inside of you is that when I'm dealing with others, I'm basically looking for things from them rather than giving things to them. Now, you can see that there might be a number of reasons why you want things from people. Firstly, it could be what you said, couldn't it? Which is the thing you'd like it to be.
Yeah.
Can I say?
We usually start with the thing we like it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No self-worth.
No self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Now, how does no self-love, according to your assessment, cause you to not be interested in other people?
For me, it feels like I've got nothing to give. It feels like a fear that I've got nothing to provide somebody else with.
So nothing to give. Yeah. Why do you feel that there's nothing to give? Keep going. What was demanded of you in your childhood? You can feel that, can't you? Like, what was demanded of you in your childhood? You want me to speak for you? Because I can feel what you feel, so. But it's sometimes good for a person to say things, yeah? It's all right, yeah. Can you feel the pain of that? It's like, there was a lot demanded from you in your childhood, right? Yeah. So the reason why you feel there's nothing to give is not because you have low self-worth. It's because you were demanded from in your childhood. Right? In other words, parents sucking the life out of you. Environment sucking the life out of you. Got to give, till you're exhausted, can't bear anymore. And it feels to me too, you sort of had a feeling of like, if I could just read, or just have a bit of private time to myself, or I could just, just have a moment of peace. So seeking escapes, to get a moment of peace in your childhood. So you're saying it's no self-love, but I'm saying it's because of the demands from childhood, you feel you have nothing to give. And that's not related to self-love, actually. That's related to the fact you're now angry about that. So I'm very angry. You get angry about the demand, right? The demand from a childhood gets you to feel like, I don't want to give anymore. I am sick of giving to people. I don't want to be in this position where people are demanding, and of course the attraction is going to be more and more people demand things from you. Yeah. Right, any person, and so you end up sort of almost being a recluse.
Yeah,
like you shut yourself down and try to stay away from people and try to be alone a lot, and Just to get some peace, just to get some feeling of control over the fact that there was all this demanded from you.
Yeah. And you also tend in this state to not want more friendships. I don't want more relation. I don't want more, because every time I get another friendship or something, I feel like, I've got to give more. And I don't want to give anymore. So
and unfortunately, because of the way the law of attraction works, which is fortunate in a way, every person you interact with is going to demand more from you.
Okay.
So because it's there to trigger the feeling you have, so you feel the grief, right? So that's the attraction is going to be there. But you're in an angry state. Now, in an angry state, it's like, I am sick of this. I do not want to do this anymore. So in an angry state, what is the person going to choose to do? It's like, I don't want to be interested in you. I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to have to hear your life, and I don't want to have to hear what problems you face, and I don't want to have to... I just want to be left alone. Leave me the F alone.
Or if we're interacting, you give me something. Yeah.
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 Does that make sense? Yeah. Yep. Now, if we look at the principles now in terms of how to solve the problem, can you see it starts with a lack of humility about this? You're not letting yourself grieve that this was your childhood. You can see even me just saying it to you caused grief to come up, right? And yet, so the grief is right there. It's right there. It's like you're so close to it. And yet the angry is sort of keeping your grief under control because you don't want to feel this from your childhood. Now, if you go through this, which is really a point of humility, you have to face, you have to be humble enough to go through that. And then in the pace of that, you're going to also have to face the truth that that is true. That is what happened to you. You follow? Nobody in your life is telling you that.
Yeah.
Like everybody in your life saying, give me more, give me more, give me more. Nobody's going, you've been demanded of a lot, haven't you? Right? Nobody is... I'm probably the first person who said it to you, right?
You are, yeah.
Yeah? And so you have to face the truth. And this is where it's handy with God, you see. If you had a conscience open, God should say, Laura, your childhood was bad. And see, unfortunately on earth, a lot of people go, well, it wasn't that bad. Like there was no major thing that went on and there was no major abuse or there wasn't any major thing. But the trouble is when a child has been sucked from and drawn from emotionally all of their childhood, there is some pretty severe damage that causes the child. And in particular, there's this feeling of exhaustion that develops in the child without the ability to grieve it.
Yeah. Right?
Because the persons around you don't want you to grieve it. If you grieved it, you'd want to stop doing it, and they don't want you to stop doing it. So they want you to not grieve it either. And so the demand in your childhood gets to an adult. When you've got an adult and you can become an adult and you can make some choices, you can go, you beauty, now I'm an adult. I can divorce everybody from my life as much as possible now. I've got some level of control. As long as I have a job, of course they're sucking from me too, but as long as I have a job and do the least amount I can do to have a private, personal, like reclusive life, right, then I can control this feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can control this feeling somehow. So basically it's anger controlling you from ever getting into humility and facing the truth that this is the truth of your childhood. Now, if that grief of being demanded from all your childhood is let go, right, then you'll no longer be angry. Now, what does that mean? That to you, that means if somebody comes along and starts sucking from me just like they did in my childhood, I'll go back and do the same thing again. That's what it means to you. In other words, you don't see any point letting go of your anger. You feel your anger with the whole thing is protective. You feel you're protecting yourself from ever having this happen to you again. You follow?
I think so.
Yeah?
Sorry.
So your anger, not only you think it's helping you now, but you also think it's helping you for your future. And this is why there's no interest in other people, why you feel that you don't really care. So it's very good that you had that awareness over the last few days. Very good, because it's helping you see, I am being unloving to other people. So this is very good to see by keeping them all away from me as much as I possibly can, you know. And this then causes you to ask a question, why do I do that? You know, and you started focusing, interestingly, on no love of self, which is really a diversion from the reality of your childhood. Because, and this is something that we see a lot of people do. Something happened in their childhood that's bad. It feels very sad, feels a lot of sorrow inside of a person because of that thing. So what they would rather do than feel the sorrow is create another reason why they're sad. And in this case, you're saying you lack love of self, right? Now, it's not the lack of love of self that is the problem that caused this problem. It's the lack of love of you from others that caused this problem. It's completely the opposite thing that caused this problem. Now, of course, in the way you're dealing with it, there is a lack of love of self. Because obviously, if you keep staying angry, this feeling will stay inside of you. You'll become more and more of a recluse driven by the anger. And in the end, you'll end up being a lonely old woman who dies and nobody remembers her. Does that make sense? Which won't be good for you, because you'll enter the spirit world as a lonely old woman who also wants to be a recluse, right? And then you'll stay reclusive there. And we've seen people stay reclusive for hundreds of years in the spirit world until they've recognised they have some pain to deal with from their childhood.
Yeah, with this this grief that you're holding on to, Laura, it really shuts your heart down from love, which is why it shuts you down from receiving love, because your association in childhood with being
loved.
being, you know, quote unquote loved, is really being demanded from. And so you sort of shut off from people loving you. But then, as you can feel, you also shut off from loving others as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so your definition of love from your childhood is, if I love someone, they would take from me.
And I must give.
I must give. I don't have my own life if I love somebody else. I don't have me if I love somebody else. I don't experience me. These are all things that are now, because of your experience, now what you believe love is.
Yeah.
Yep. And unless that grief is felt, you will retain these beliefs and take them to your grave.
How do I go about challenging that belief?
Well, the quickest way is to feel your grief. That's how those beliefs will leave you.
Like, all I had to do was say the truth to you and you started crying. All you've got to do is repeat that truth to you until you finish crying. And you just keep doing that until you finish crying.
Okay.
You follow? Yep. And then you'll start feeling about all the effects of it. And you'll probably want to cry about them too. And I don't blame you, because they're terrible effects. So you don't know yourself well as a result of it. Your view of love is that you try to reject it, keep it away from yourself. That means you haven't experienced much love in your life at all up to this point. It also means that every relationship you've had has been tainted by it, you know, because you just feel like, oh, I don't want the relationship. Everyone just keeps sucking from me and demanding things of me all the time. And so you're not experiencing what are the potential joys of having a good relationship, because all you feel is just a series of bad ones. Make sense?
Yeah, understand.
Yeah. So truth first, have to face truth first. Truth is, you were demanded from your childhood. This is causing a lot of trouble from you while you store that grief. That's the truth. And if you can feel that grief, be humble to it. So this is about pray to God to recognise the truth every day. People have been taken from me all my life. This is how has it harmed me? How has it affected me? And then be humble enough to feel what God tells you about it, feel about what is said. just let yourself have some good cries about it, you know? Some decent cries, like what you felt just now was minor compared to what you need to feel about it. You need to just let yourself have some gut-wrenching cries, like just really let yourself feel it. And as you do, these feelings will be relieved. And as those feelings are relieved, your anger will dissipate. As your anger dissipates, your desire to understand or know people will change. And for the first time, you'll also be able to select nice people to have relationships with who don't take from you, who want to give to you instead, who want to have an equal relationship with you, not a demanding one. You'll attract that as well if you deal with this. But you see, at the moment, your reality is not that, right? So this is your reality. I have to, people keep taking, I must give, I can't be me. This is the reality that you have come to believe is true because this happened to you in your childhood. Yeah?
Okay. Thank you for that.
Okay. Did you want to ask anything else?
Yeah.
No.
No? You good? No worries.